in the traditional bazaar in the Ottoman Empire. In Sarajevo, for instance, if you wanted to have a shop in the bazaar, you had to belong to one of the asnaf, to one of the guilds. You couldn't just trot in one fine day and open a Burger King franchise, as they've just done next to Ayub Sultan. You had to be recognized as a representative of one of the established guilds that were themselves sacred institutions with their own formulas of dhikr, and the 7 years of becoming an apprentice were kind of initiatory chain, and you were allied to a particular prophet or a particular saint, and it was a form of initiation. That if you had a shop in the bazaar in Sarajevo or Tirana or Sofia or wherever, you were a member of a guild, and the guild would look out for you if you went bankrupt, or if your children were sick, or if you were old, you suffer from dementia or whatever. The guild would always be there to help you. Similarly, if you messed up morally, the guild would be there to punish you. So if, for instance, you were found guilty of overcharging to somebody who was strange to the town or to the bazaar and didn't know the correct price, that was regarded as one of the worst things you could do, a breach of the Futuwet code of the guilds. Along would come the local head of the guild, reprimand you, and he had a piece of cloth with Quranic verses written on it, and he would place this cloth over the things that you were selling in your shop, and he would recite a dua, and you would have to sit there in your shop with the door open without any customers for as long as the head of the guild thought that you deserved to sit there for having committed the crime of overcharging a stranger. And then he would come along with his assistants, and he would make a dua, and he'd take the cloth back to his place, and it was business as usual. Well, it's not like that nowadays, I'm afraid, in the shopping mall or even in the covered bazaar in Istanbul. It's dog eat dog in our capitalistic world. The idea of the bazaar as a place of sacred discipline is very far from our conception. But this is how Muslim civilization used to be. That's the principle of sacrality, even in the place of the souk, which is, according to a hadith, the most disagreeable of places to Allah. You go out of the Blue Mosque in Istanbul, and the big calligraphy says, Al-Kasib Habibullah, the one who earns an honourable living is beloved to Allah. That too is a place of ibadah. So we need, and this really is my parting thought, we need to create professional associations, guilds is perhaps an obsolete term, that can help new graduates in medicine, for instance, or in engineering, or in accountancy, who are Muslims and they've been active in the Islamic society in their local university, whatever, and they're keen to do something for Islam, and they're now in this extremely pressurized, modern, profane environment, can help them to explore, with like-minded people, practices and habits of mind, forms of behavior that can enable their careers to be places of spiritual advancement. We haven't yet done that. There is an Islamic Medical Association and other such things, but they don't really conceive of themselves as workshops, as crucibles for spiritual improvement. There may be an ethical dimension. Everybody wants to know what are the Sharia issues related to end-of-life issues, when do you turn off the machine, things like that. We need guidance from the ulama. There are professional associations that will help us with things like that. But in terms of the subtler things, like the intention of entering the place of work, relations to colleagues, issues of honesty, forms of dhikr that you make, what dhikr you should use when you turn on your computer, what dua you should make when you turn off your computer, what sacralizing one's life, which was the way Muslims traditionally lived. We haven't made much progress in that, and as a result many of us feel that we kind of occupy two worlds simultaneously. We occupy a profane space and a sacred space, and the danger is that with time we, or with the passage of the generations, families, will find that there's more and more space taken up by the power of dunya, and less space taken up by the more latif things which are to do with akhirah. And Islam allows us, I believe, to counterattack and to offer ways of sacralizing the workplace in a way that no other surviving ummah has attempted, particularly those that believe in a sharp differentiation between deen and dunya. They've never really considered those things, but for us, I think it's a matter of urgency that unless we're prepared to buy some sheep and head off into the mountains, we need to be thinking seriously about how we can sacralize our working day, focusing on the cycle of the prayers, most evidently, but focusing on eating issues. Obviously, there are issues of halal and haram that need to come first, but also these more subtle things.